Hey YouTube, today I'm going to show you some time-saving tips and tricks in Photoshop. Okay, so once you have a layout that you're happy with, you want to block in all your major elements. I'm going to start here with the hobbits, and I'm using a special action I created that expands your selection so you don't get that annoying line when you use your paint bucket. So if you were to have a circle and you paint bucket it, it would leave that line, and we don't like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to undo that. We're going to take the wand tool, wand it, and then we're going to make an action so that we don't have to do this again. And we're going to record this action. We're going to call this action expand, and we're going to set it to function key 3, and we can make it yellow. We're going to record, go to select, modify, expand. 5 pixels is good. Stop that so that you can use it later, and then you paint bucket. So now whenever you magic wand something and you push F3, it'll expand the selection by 5 pixels. So yeah, when I block things in, I try to go from back to front, but sometimes I don't follow my own rules. Like here, I'm not doing the orcs, but I went straight to the hobbits. And block in all your major elements. And sometimes I'll use a crazy color that's obviously not the right color, just so I can get a clearer read on the silhouette when I'm filling it in. So with almost everything in here, once I have the main silhouette, I'll use nested layers to paint all the other things on top of it. So if we take our cool circle and we make a new layer above it, and we hold Alt and click between the two layers, that nests that layer into the circle. So anything we paint on this layer will only show up wherever that circle is. And that's a nested layer. Sometimes I'll turn my line layers off to kind of see where the painting is at. So I'm just blocking in the basic light and shadow, and I know that I want a strong glow coming from Frodo's sword, so I'm going to kind of rough in that as I go. Also, I wanted a cool underglow from the lava flowing from Mount Doom. Here, I'm still not sure what my overall lighting is going to be. I kind of have this overcast top light coming down, or like a diffused light, but I'll be playing around with that some more. I just know that I want the center of attention to be Frodo and Sam amongst all these orcs, so it's going to be a balancing act to get all of the elements working and the things I want to read correctly. Now I know I want this lava to be bright, but I got to be careful because I don't want to take too much focus away from Frodo and Sam and the cool glowy sting. My freedom I hold dear. So I'm just continuing here with my block-in of all the orcs, and it's kind of a big task, especially when you have so many characters in a scene. You want to figure out, how do I organize these values so that they read in order from most important to least important. So the orcs, as they go back, are going to kind of recede into the atmosphere that we're creating here, and the most important orcs being the foreground orcs and the orcs closest to the hobbits, I'll want to try and highlight more. So here I felt like the sky was a bit too bright and it may be detracting from the contrast we want to create at the focal point. So I decided to add some darker clouds. I'll also have to darken the mouth of the volcano so that it's not the highest point of contrast. So here I am starting to detail out one of the front orcs. And like everything else, I'll lay out my basic shapes using nested layers and try and get everything kind of blocked in, and then work out the lighting scheme we got going. Also here you'll see I'm locking the transparent pixels on the specific layers that are nested into the main silhouette of the orc. So doing this is as simple as selecting the layer and hitting that little checkerboard at the top left of your layers panel. You can also use the hotkey /. As I paint this orc, I'm trying to think about all the different light sources I have in the scene. We have the diffused kind of coolish purple light coming from the sky, the underglow of the lava, and probably most importantly, the blue glow from Frodo's sword. Again, playing with the sky to try and keep that contrast down and make it kind of a second read after Frodo's sword. You may have noticed I just flipped my canvas, and that's a trick I use all the time to kind of see if anything is leaning too far or off balance, or if there's a problem with the drawing. It helps kind of get a fresh look at the thing you've been staring at for probably some time now. So for flipping the canvas, we're going to go ahead and create an action. We're going to make a new one, and we're going to call it flip. And I'm going to set it to function key 2, and then you can make whatever color you want, but I'll just do red. Record, image, image rotation, flip canvas horizontal. Stop your recording, and now anytime you push F2, your canvas will flip. So here I'm starting to block in the other elements in the left orc. Again, I want to think about the light, you know, the underglow from the lava, the blue glow, but I don't want it to be as strong as the light on the other orc. With everything in this painting, composition, lighting, color, I'm trying to get the viewer to focus on the center. You can see with the orcs, I deliberately kind of pointed their arms towards the focal point. The lava's spewing down towards the focal point. Everyone's looking at the focal point. That's something that I worked out in the layout, but I'm going to reinforce with value contrast and color contrast. You may have also noticed that every once in a while the screen goes to grayscale, and this is so I can check the values and make sure the highest area of contrast is at my focal point. For this I'll use a proof view, and you can do that by setting up a custom proof, setting it to working gray, saving that as black and white so that we can use it later. Save. And click OK. So now anytime you hit Command Y, it'll go from black and white to color. So now that I have all my other major elements blocked in, I can start detailing the background orcs. And again, I'm going to organize them in detail from the orcs closest to the hobbits being the most detailed to the orcs further away, kind of just fading into 3 basic values. I want to make sure though that I apply the same lighting that everyone else is getting, just in a less extreme way. This will help incorporate them into the painting and make them feel like they're not out of place. So now that most of our major elements are there and the basic lighting is applied to all of them, I'm going to start the finishing process. And this is kind of a process of massaging values and color contrast to, again, reinforce the focal point. Anytime I see something that's too high contrast and it's not towards the center, I'm going to tone that down. So the orcs on the left, for instance, will probably go higher in value to blend in with the background. So here I felt the texture on the volcano was a bit too snow-like, so I wanted to tone that down and also lower the contrast. Again, I'm always checking my values. So whenever you're painting something, the first thing people will see is the area of highest contrast and value. The second thing they'll see is area of highest color contrast, so most saturated colors versus desaturated colors, or when you have a blue and an orange. Saturated complementary colors next to each other is a big attractor towards a focal point. So we're entering the home stretch here, and I'm going to add some blur and some adjustment layers to kind of unify things a bit more. With this painting I use a zoom blur because I wanted to give it that kind of actiony feel. I'm also using a noise pattern on an overlay that helps kind of unify all the textures and brush strokes. With the zoom blur, I'll add a mask to it so that everything around the focal point is less blurry than the things in the edges, and this will kind of, again, help us reinforce the focal point. Towards the end, I also like to do an adjustment layer, color balance adjustment layer to kind of unify everything, so give everything a little bit more blue. I also use the Spatter Filter on everything, which can be found in the filter gallery. Throw on a signature and it's done. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me or comment below. Also, don't forget to check out my website for a print of this image and a bunch of other things, mostly superheroes. Thanks for watching. Bye.